Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here, and I wanted to interrupt my File 13 series of movie reviews for cult, sleaze, exploitation, B-movies of all kinds to bring you guys a review of a film that's live streaming on Netflix right now, and I really want to talk about it with you guys. However, I'm afraid that if I talk too much about it, I'm going to give something away, because it is a very, it's the kind of movie that really leaves you with more questions than answers, but in a very, very satisfying and kind of disturbing kind of way. The film is called The Imposter, and the plot synopsis is basically a young man disappears from a Texas town only to turn up in Spain 3 years later. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give this away because it's entitled The Imposter, so you can probably, it's not going to take, Inspector Clouseau to put two and two together and realize that the person in Spain is not the young man who disappeared from Texas 3 years prior. He is a very seasoned and cunning con man, it turns out. Yet he is embraced and brought into this family as if he were truly their son. He looked nothing like the boy. He looked fairly similar to the boy. Kind of similar to the boy. He dyed his hair. He made up a crazy story about being abducted by the government and forced into all sorts of experimentation and sexual abuse, and that they actually changed the color of his eyes, which is why he went from having blue eyes to having brown eyes. But the family seemingly takes all this in stride. They welcome him back into their homes. They are very loving with him. However, here is where the question lies. Do they simply just want this person to be their son so badly that they will overlook the fact that he really doesn't look like him? He has blue eyes or brown eyes instead of blue eyes. He's clearly done a real bad dye job on his hair to turn it from black to blonde. It's a French person, so of course he speaks English with a very, very thick French accent. They kind of overlook that as well. Do they just simply want their son back so badly? Their son and their brother, the nephew. They interview many, many people in the family. Do they just want him back so badly that they'll overlook all of these huge, glaring, elephants in the room? Or is there a more sinister motive at hand as to why they would want people to believe that this was that this person is their son who disappeared 3 years ago? And therein lies the mystery of The Imposter. And the film, I went into it not knowing, is this a documentary? Is this a faux documentary? Is this, what is this? Is this a found footage movie? I had no idea. Absolutely no idea. They mix in interviews with family members and, of course, the con artist, private detectives, social workers, police, so on and so forth, with dramatic recreations of the events portrayed by actors. I think Unsolved Mysteries. And the thing about faux documentaries that always trips them up is when they turn to the interview parts of the movie. The first movie that jumps to mind that's like this is the Poughkeepsie Tapes, and I know this is a movie that's never been officially released, but it's the first movie that jumps to mind. I saw it many years ago. I actually really enjoyed it. When they get to these interview segments with like specialists or eyewitnesses or something, it really trips the movie up, because you have an actor who is acting like they're not acting. And that's very tricky, and that can definitely, cause the movie to stumble a little bit, and you can kind of see, the strings controlling, the puppets in the background that they don't want you to see. I kind of actually got that sense a few times with this film. There were certain elements of the film that I thought were just a little hokey, a little over the top. Let's say that I didn't think could have happened in real life. I was honestly a little surprised to find out that this is an honest documentary. And the events truly happened. They really happened. This con artist, at the ripe old age of 23, had assumed dozens of identities, dozens and dozens of people's identities. He was passing himself off as a child. He was small statured, but he was passing himself off, and pretty successfully as a child. I mean, you sort of follow him through how he sold himself to this family and to the American embassy, saying that I am this young man who disappeared from Texas all these years ago. And it's quite brilliant the way that he does it. And you know, he is sort of a classic sociopathic person, cares about no one but himself, and he openly says that in the film. Yet then we're introduced to the family members who are themselves a little shady. And you sort of are in this tug of war. And I was in multiple tug of wars throughout watching this entire film, because I wasn't sure, is this for real, a real documentary? Is it a faux documentary? What really is it? And I have to say, I really, really enjoyed The Imposter quite a bit. If you have Netflix, I highly, highly recommend it. Really interesting film. Like I said, leaves a lot more questions than answers. And just the kind of movie that you walk away from and you just like immediately go online and you start looking up aspects of the disappearance and of this con artist fella and of the family. And the more you dig, the more sort of really shocking and surprising the story is. But again, I highly recommend it. The Imposter. It's on Netflix. Great flick. Really enjoyed it. And think you guys should check it out. If you've seen The Imposter, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, you guys take it easy.